Reserve is a parasitic criminal organization!
The Federal Reserve bankers originated communism. That's not generally known.
In the past, people were able to take their receipts, the paper, to the bank and get the real money, the gold, in exchange for the receipt. This limited the amount of money that could be printed, thereby protecting the purchasing power of your savings.
The Federal Reserve itself is not a government agency, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Not a government agency.
In the absence of the gold standard, there is no way to protect savings from confiscation through inflation. There is no safe store of value. Gold stands as a protector of property rights. Alan Greenspan, before he went to work for the Federal Reserve System. Now Alan Greenspan and the other central bankers want you to believe that the receipt, the paper, is the real money. This is nothing more than sleight of hand. It's a magician's trick. Because for them to maintain control over the government and the people, they have to convince you that this paper is really money, because that is the essence of their power. The kids are being indoctrinated how to think. They're being given Ritalin. They're being given all these drugs. The whole country's being dumbed down. It's all because of the Federal Reserve System. And the Federal Reserve System and these bankers are responsible for the demise of America. And if we ever want to win this battle, you must shut down the Federal Reserve System. And we must shut down these bankers and restore sound money to this country.
Is that how they've been doing it? They've been buying people off ever since 1913 to keep their game. And I know in the government today there's a request by many congressmen to have an audit of the Federal Reserve. Could that do any harm?
Actually, an audit of the Federal Reserve would simply substantiate their legitimacy. I mean, you don't want to audit the mafia. Why would you audit the Federal Reserve? It's an illegal organization to start with. You don't audit a criminal syndicate. You put it out of business, and you lock up the people who perpetrated this on the American people.
Let's go back to Andrew Jackson, because Andrew Jackson threw the bankers out one time, didn't he?
He did indeed.
And the country prospered.
Oh, tremendous prosperity. Andrew Jackson, as President of the United States, said to the bankers, "Ye are a nest of vipers, and by God, I will root you out." And so he immediately took all government funds out of this second bank of the United States, which was a central bank. And of course, they went bankrupt because they needed that money for their operating capital.
Anybody who looks at this evidence and continues to insist that fires caused the buildings to collapse is simply having a difficult time facing the possibility that a government could commit such a crime. One reason it's difficult to believe that the government created the September 11th attack is because none of the major news agencies are talking about it.
Stop the truth from coming out.
Where did you and I get $4 trillion of debt? Did you go out and spend a lot of money that you shouldn't have, or did I? Absolutely not.
Don't ask me that.
Well, I think you might spend $4 trillion, but it would take you a little while. But no, all that money not only has been wasted, but it's been deliberately wasted to put us into permanent debt situation.
Get the Fed! Get the Fed! Get the Fed! Get the Fed!
In fact, you will find banking interests behind every major event of world history. They pull the strings. We're just puppets. The governments are puppets. And that's why the War of 1812 happened, the Civil War, World War I, World War II, you name it. They're bankers' wars.
They're very arrogant. They can do whatever they want to do. We've given these people the authority to create money out of thin air. And through that device, they control everything. And if you want to win the battle to stop that, you have to deny them the ability to create money. It's only because they can make money that they have all this power.
They literally have the money machines.
They have the money machines. They can print it. They can do whatever they want to do.
The Income Tax Amendment was passed in 1913. The Rockefeller Foundation was chartered in 1913. The Federal Reserve Act was passed in 1913 so that we could have a world war a few months later in 1914. All of this, you see, 1913 is a symbolic year because we're dealing with people who have a deep root in the occult and in satanic work. So for them, 1913 was the year that they wanted to force everything over on the American people, and they did.
It is more likely than not that a weapon of mass destruction will be used someplace in the world prior to the end of the year 2013. We also found that it was more likely that that weapon would be biological than nuclear.
So for them, 1913 was the year.
And we believe that within 5 years, we gave the year 2013, it is more likely than not, it is probable that there will be a successful WMD attack against a city somewhere in the world, not necessarily in the United States. Some of the reports initially indicated in the United States, and certainly American cities would be on the target list, but not necessarily here.
Flatbeds just totally stacked with the coffins that go one inside the other like plastic Dixie cups. And they're just all there. Now, we know this is FEMA. We know that these are coffins. Some people are debating that because we have all the news articles where it says FEMA's ordered coffins and body bags by the millions. This is just one stockpile just a few miles away from the Atlanta airport, which is the largest airport in the United States.
We just, in a very base way, afraid. There were many times, Miles, that you were afraid. You were worried, especially when I was standing in front of the Pentagon that night, seeing one of our fortresses pried open by a missile airplane.
The engineers are telling you it's an inside job. Dr. Morgan Reynolds, chief economist, Department of Labor in the current Bush administration, he quit. Dr. Morgan Reynolds has gone public that 9/11 is an inside job. Members of the Bush administration have gone public, but your news will not pick it up. We're in danger of the neocon cabal staging more events.
And you've got to know that if you get into them through cowardice, they end up winning, and you will be fed upon. The only chance you've got is to turn it loose, open a can of whoop-ass in the info war, and go 110% against these people.
They profit by other people's suffering and despair. They profit when you have a communist revolution go in and murder 10 million peasants. They profit when you have a world war that devastates Europe.
You don't think 19 people in a cave could make NORAD stand down, do you? You don't think 19 people in a cave Brown of San Francisco the night before.